You're like Dr. Frankenstein. New life is created from discarded bits and pieces. This is the domain of Rowland Emett, the ditchling tinkerer.
It has been fully restored after lying in storage for almost 20 years. It is an example of English art and English offbeat humour at their quintessential best. It is the largest and, in his own view, the best artwork by the eccentric, irrepressible Englishman, Rowland Emett.
In Battersea Park, cartoonist Emmet sees his craziest dream come to life and calls it Neptune just in time as the first passengers arrive at Oyster Creek Station.
Rowland Emett shot to international fame 65 years ago when he created his now famous train line, the Far Tottering and Oyster Creek Railway, for the Festival of Britain at Battersea Park in 1951.
The trial run begins.
It carried over 2 million passengers at the festival and earned its construction costs back in less than 3 weeks. Rowland Emett is one of England's greatest modern-day artists. Born in 1906, he studied art in Birmingham before becoming a draftsman during the Second World War, working on the design of aircraft, including the now legendary Lancaster bomber. When not contributing to the design of English warplanes, Emett began to create intricately detailed, humorous cartoons. These would usually depict wildly imaginative flying machines, trains and other machinery that seemed to echo Victorian architecture and practicality, whilst at the same time conjuring up a magical world where machines were capable of helping people do just about anything. His cartoons were quickly published by Punch magazine, and after a short while earned him the position of resident cartoonist at the magazine. But when the Festival of Britain organisers commissioned him to make some of his machines for real, Emmett's life changed forever. After the success of the Far Tottering and Oyster Creek Railway at the festival, he was commissioned to create the Honeywell Forget-Me-Not computer, the Slumberland Hushabye bed, and a series of other whimsical, light-hearted pieces of art whose purpose was almost entirely, quite simply, to make people smile.
All that to clean carpets?
Away with sweeping and away with brushing and away with dirty carpets.
Perhaps most famous of Emmett's work was the commission by United Artists to design and create the harebrained machines of inventor Caractacus Potts in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the 1968 film based on Ian Fleming's phantasmagorical children's story.
Jeremy?
Oh, good.
Emmet and his team continued to produce elaborate and unique commissions for public and private sector clients throughout the 1960s and 70s. And in 1984, the Far Tottering and Oyster Creek Railway was reprised when he built the last of his machines, or things, as he always preferred to call them. A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley is the largest of his works, and is in fact made up of 8 separate machines that together tell a single coherent story. It depicts the tale of a pleasure trip on the Far Tottering and Oyster Creek Railway. The central feature is a train called Wild Goose, driven by an ingenious driver who toasts tea cakes on the firebox as the train trundles along. Behind him is the first-class carriage, occupied by what appears to be a lady of some considerable refinement, accompanied by her grandson, who is busying himself catching butterflies with a net. The rear of the train is an open wagon occupied by a railway attendant, playing birdsong through an old gramophone player to accompany the journey. Along the way, the train passes various unusual and entertaining sights. At Cowparsley Meadow, a farmer plays his harp soothingly to his herd of cows, who nod their heads in appreciation. There is a large water wheel that turns timelessly, its brass cups beaten and misshapen from years of use. and in a secluded dell there is a beautiful flowering tree on top of which sits a clock, originally intended as the focal point of the whole piece. At Shrimp Haven Sands, a fisherman can be seen out at sea hauling in a net in which, rather surprisingly, he appears to have caught a mermaid. On the beach, a bathing hut is occupied by an elderly gentleman dressed in full-length Victorian swimwear, who dives dramatically into the water from time to time. As Wild Goose continues on its journey past twittering woods, an ornithologist is seen cycling along with his camera. He is disguised as a tree and has done such a good job at hiding from his quarry that a bird has chosen to make its nest in his bicycle lamp. Finally, for those passengers on Wild Goose whose wishes and dreams are not yet met, there is a wishing well, complete with a typically Emmet-esque leaking bucket. Constructing his machines out of discarded kettles, drain pipes, lampshades, and any other appropriately shaped paraphernalia that he picked up in antique shops, Emmett's ingenuity was unbounded, and the level of detail he injected into each of his creations was something that audiences worldwide have been smiling about for over 50 years. A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley was originally commissioned as a landmark clock and was destined to adorn a new shopping area in Basildon, England. But by the time the artwork was completed in 1984, those plans had changed. It was bought instead by the present owner and was not exhibited until 1992 in Spitalfields Market, London. Sadly, Emmet himself had passed away just 2 years earlier, so never saw his greatest masterpiece exhibited in public. When its time at Spitalfields came to an end, A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley was put into what was thought to be safe storage. But in 1999 it was stolen by some enterprising thieves from a warehouse in Hertfordshire. It was sold by the thieves to a scrap metal dealer who became suspicious and alerted the police, so it was thankfully recovered. The scrap metal dealer had paid just £100 for it, at a time when the artwork was thought to be worth closer to £250,000. After a 20-year break and following 3 years of meticulous restoration, A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley was once again placed on display during the summer of 2014 in Birmingham's prestigious Museum and Art Gallery. In only its second public outing, Emmett's last and largest artwork was shown in an exhibition entitled Marvellous Machines, The Wonderful World of Rowland Emett. Accompanied by several other Emmet machines from his Chitty Chitty Bang Bang collection, A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley helped to increase footfall in the museum from 20,000 to nearly 37,000 paying visitors when compared to the same period the previous year. Then, from December 2016 through to March 2017, the collection was again exhibited in Birmingham, this time at the city's ThinkTank Science Museum. The works were accompanied on this occasion not only by the Emmet-designed Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and other machines from the movie, but by a wonderful collection of automata or kinetic sculptures created by some of the country's most ingenious and resourceful makers of mechanical things. In an exhibition simply entitled Mechanical Things, A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley once again took the limelight. Yet it was the sheer breadth of creativity that most visitors to the exhibition were struck by. Not only had the organisers managed to find some of Rowland Emmett's early oil paintings, but they had collected together one of the largest displays of automata this country had ever seen. The machines from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang were joined by machines of all shapes and sizes from all corners of the UK, some even from mainland Europe, designed and built in garden sheds, garages and home workshops. Machines that whirred, machines that clicked, machines that lit up, and machines that span around. From machines that made you breakfast to machines that simply made you smile. With A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley as the exhibition's centrepiece, these fantastic machines helped to make mechanical things a unique and inspiring exhibition. And the ThinkTank Science Museum reported a 20% uplift in paying visitors when compared to the same period in previous years. The exhibition was staged in conjunction with the Rowland Emett Society, a not-for-profit organisation that now comprises hundreds of Emmet enthusiasts from all around the world, and whose sole purpose is to keep the memory of Rowland Emett alive. It is hoped that A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley will see many other exhibitions staged in the coming years, and the future for Rowland Emmett's machines and other automata looks very exciting indeed. It might even be possible to see the establishment of a permanent Emmet Museum in the UK. This would allow visitors the opportunity to continue marvelling at the rich and glorious legacy left to us by one of England's greatest modern-day artists. If you are able to help, either by providing a permanent home for A Quiet Afternoon in the Cloud Cuckoo Valley, or by becoming a volunteer or a patron, please let us know at www.cloudcuckooValley.com.